So we saw that there is this dd time delta object which tells us how far is our next birthday from the current time. Now we saw that there can be two ways of looking at it. One is if I just look at dd, it's a time delta object with attributes days and seconds, and otherwise if I print, then I get a different representation, but these two are really the same. Now let's focus on the first one. If I look at, for example, dd.days, that is 61 because days, remember, is an attribute, so I do not need to put brackets here. I just probe it. I say dd.days, it shows me 61, and if I do dd dot say seconds, seconds, then that is 46763. Now think about it. If I tell somebody your birthday is 61 days and 46,763 seconds away, it is probably not going to be very helpful because it's very awkward. What we need to do instead is that we want to present this total seconds, which is 46,000 in this case, in a way that a human being can readily understand. In other words, we need to convert this into some number of hours, some number of minutes, and some number of seconds. In fact, we already know for this particular number, it is 12 hours, 59 minutes, and 23 seconds, but we would take this number here and convert it to 12, 59, and 23. Now, before I get on with the code for doing this, let us spend some time understanding the logic that we will be using. The logic is not very hard. It's based on the simple fact that 1 minute is 60 seconds and 1 hour is 60 minutes. Now, what we have been given is the total seconds. So, what we need to do really is to figure out this total number of seconds. First, we'll figure out how many minutes does it mean, and how many, so how many minutes and how many seconds. And then this many minutes, how many hours and how many minutes. So, it's like basically going from total seconds to total minutes. And then in that process, seconds, minutes, and hours. Let's look at a few examples. For example, let's say it's 125 seconds left. We know that this is basically 2 minutes and 5 seconds, and this is 0 hours. If it's on the other hand, let's say 1200, then we know it's 20 minutes because 1200 seconds is basically 20 minutes. 1200 divided by 20. So now, if you think through this, you can look at more examples. The logic that we are really following is that we are taking the total seconds. First, we are trying to figure out in this total seconds, how many minutes do we have? And what is the remainder, which is the number of seconds. So what we are doing is really, we are taking total number of seconds, dividing that by 60. We are seeing what is the quotient, that is the total number of minutes. Whatever remains is the total number of seconds. So like take an example earlier, for example, 125, if I divide it by 60, I'm going to get 2, which is by quotient. So it's 2 minutes, and whatever remains, which is 5, in this case will be 5 seconds. Now comes the next step, which is from going from total minutes to say hours and minutes. Is exactly the same process repeated. What we do is that we divide minutes by 60 because again 60 minutes make 1 hour. The quotient will be the hours. The remainder, whatever remains, will be the minutes. So which means that from total seconds, we would have sort of split that into hours, minutes, and seconds. Now my advice is do not rush through this. Try to convince yourself this is correct, because if this is clear in your mind, then the coding part will actually become a lot easier. Otherwise, it can get a bit confusing. We'll take one example here. For example, let's say it's 13212 seconds. When I divide by 60, I get quotient is 222 and remainder is 12, and that's because 13 to 60 times 20, 222 and plus 12, which means that I have got 222 total minutes and 12 seconds. Now total minutes, again, if I tell 222 minutes, is not very meaningful. What I do is that I further divide this by 60, so I get say 3 hours and 42 minutes. So which means that 13212 total seconds is basically 3 hours, 42 minutes and 12 seconds. Like I said, convince yourself that this logic is correct. Maybe work out a few examples yourself before you get onto the code, because that is very important. Now that we have seen this, we'll look at how we can convert this to code in the next video. Take care. Thank you so much.